Do Shibbidi-bop-bop-ba-doo-ba-doo-doo. Shibbidi-doo-doo. Scat, scat, scat. Scataroo. Secret is I'm good at scatting.
Oh, that's no secret at all.
Ooh, I'm loving it.
That's the crime.
What?
The scatting.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the fact that Pusha T wrote the McDonald's song and then they stole it from him.
Oh, shit. What?
I think that's a claim that Pusha T made.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, what's up? He's a jingle master, so
Yeah, we all know he is a jingle master.
his best work may well be McDonald's.
I feel like someone like Pusha T should change his rap name to a much more gangster name, Jingle Master.
Dr.
Now
Pusha,
strike fear in the hearts of everybody.
Mr. Push.
Welcome to the stage, Jingle Master. Actually, I like it now. Man, welcome back to the Low Ceiling. I say welcome back because we're doing an unprecedented twofer.
Twofer.
This is a second. You won't know this, listeners, but we're recording two in one
What
day.
are you doing trying to tell them?
Just a little peek behind the curtain of 30 Rock here. We
Muggles can't see that
sometimes we record things in the same day.
I'm loving it. And by sometimes, I mean just today.
This is just
Yeah.
the only time.
Yeah. But it's because
We're too fantastic to beast.
I had something way better to say.
Oh, God damn it. Sorry.
We had to reveal the secrets
Oh,
of Dumbledore
that's right.
because we're talking about FB3. S of D.
Oh,
The S's of D.
The S's of D.
S and D.
Ah.
Yeah.
That was better.
Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yep.
Yeah. The best one so far. of the
100%.
three.
Which is not popular opinion.
No, it's not.
The best one in terms of ratings
It's the first one.
is the first one, and then the other two have gotten progressively worse. The first one was at somewhere in the 75%, and then by the third one, we're at 36.
Yeah, no. It goes when we're talking Rotten Tomatoes score, it goes, I think, 75, 36, 48,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, as we've learned recently, is just completely scientific and absolutely accurate.
Oh,
But
boy.
yeah, but in my opinion, in the opinions of this podcast, they get successively better and better.
Correct.
I think what happened with FB1 is that it felt refreshing at the time, but when you watch them all together,
yeah.
you're like, oh, that one is probably the worst.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're trying to stay awake for the most of first and second.
Which, to be honest, is a type of hell.
Yeah.
Trying to stay awake when you
I've
want to
said
sleep.
this before. I'd rather be infuriated by a film than be bored by it.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that both of these movies, that previous films that we have suffered from, is the fact that parts of them are incredibly boring and uneventful and unimaginative. Not unimaginative. They're hard to remember what happens. As I said, I checked out at the same point in Crimes of Grindelwald. Whereas Secrets of Dumbledore is a good film.
Yeah.
The reason I'm talking like this with such long pauses is because I'm debating whether I should kind of talk about the one thing about it that I have to say, the one really big thing that I have to say now or later.
Do it. Everybody's seen it. Let's do it.
Yeah, at least. I mean, Catherine Waterston probably saw it.
Yeah.
Secrets of Dumbledore is a perfectly fine movie, probably the most exciting and imaginative and well-directed of all three. David Yates, clearly a very good director. As I mentioned in the last episode, the only film written with a co-writer, not J.K. Rowling, so therefore it feels like a movie, written because it's written by a person who writes movies professionally, named Steve Kloves. You might know him from writing almost every Harry Potter film before this.
Yeah.
Steve Kloves, he's like kind of an unsung hero of the Harry Potter franchise, I think, because he actually did do an incredible job of distilling the films, the books into a filmable essence.
100%.
No matter, like, if you're a huge Potter nerd, you're probably like, oh, but they missed this, they missed that, they missed. But it's like he actually did a very smart job of whittling these down to the manageable parts.
Yeah.
So Steve Clovis, I know you're a listener. Shout out to you. The problem with this film is, and I kind of lost my mind when we watched it the other day.
What?
Because the whole plot device that it's centered around is patently insane. It is one of the most absurd and stupid things ever. And I didn't really feel it until the end.
Uh-huh.
So
Go on.
Just a deer
Yes.
chooses the king of the wizarding world.
That's it.
That is what this whole plot is based around.
So this MacGuffin of this film,
Hardcore.
okay, is a magic deer that picks the president.
Of the international wizarding community.
Of everyone. The number one ruler is
Yeah.
picked by one fantastic beast.
One of the most fantastic, I would
Yeah.
argue.
Probably the most.
Yeah.
Because it has such impact on both beast world, human world, muggle world, and wizard world. And it's called the Chillin'.
It's hella chillin'. Yeah.
It's, you know what? Which like results in lines such as "Let the chillin' unite us all."
So, okay.
So the problem is not that there's this plot device that everything hinges on for one person to be deemed worthy to rule, because they're trying to do it in a way that is somewhat different from Voldemort, Voldemort's chillin' is fear.
And murder.
And murder.
And he murders
right?
the
Just
people
force.
he doesn't
takes
like.
it.
Yeah.
He takes it.
And he replaces them. And as you do in an authoritarian state, you replace them with spineless lackeys like Dolores Umbridge.
Yeah.
Who
exactly.
Actually have no real capacity to oppose you.
Mm-hmm. Or you curse them with the Imperious, or you mind control their mind, whatever.
If
right?
anyone is a huge nerd like me and plays Crusader Kings, it's when you max out your dread so that all of your vassals fear you and will not act against you alone. That's that's what you want in that video game, but not in life.
Not in life. Don't max out your dread with your mom.
But Voldemort has max dread.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is not chilling.
But Grindelwald is possibly not as powerful as Voldemort, and I might eat my words here because I don't know the degree to which Grindelwald's powers are, right? He's not a one-on-one match to Dumbledore. Okay, Dumbledore's the greatest wizard of all time.
Yeah.
And Voldemort gave him a fucking hell of a time.
I think and although it may have been muddled in the forever ridiculous expansion of the universe, but I think it's established that Voldemort is possibly the most powerful person to have ever lived.
Totally.
Only matched or possibly slightly exceeded by Dumbledore.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that may be
and
because
Grindelwald gives Dumbledore trouble too, though, so he is extremely powerful as well. Yeah.
And Dumbledore is technically a baby. No, sorry. Voldemort is technically a baby because Dumbledore's already 100 years old by the time he comes around to fighting him.
Voldemort is like 26.
He's a
you
little
wouldn't know
baby.
it from where he finds his look in that film, but he's like a 27-year-old man.
And so he's got,
That's not true.
classic basketball vigor where he can
dunk.
He can dunk on all these wizards.
The thing that
so he doesn't need a deer is what he doesn't need a chillin'.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Voldemort is like he can dunk, but he can also hit the three. And his vision on the court is unmatched. Kind of like he doesn't have a nose in his weight. What a stupid fucking joke. So no, but
he's the Shaq.
And here's the thing. So this movie is based on this absurd fucking idea. This stupid, really, I can't stress enough how dumb I think this is. But the joke that I was making when, in the end, the deer is choosing the Wizard King.
Yes.
They, did no one be like, hey, we should try voting. We should try democracy.
Yeah.
Did anyone say, Muggles, they do this thing where a proportionate representative of their the demographics, they vote for the people.
Yeah.
And then the kind of world chooses them, and people are like, no, I think a deer should choose someone who's pure
Well,
of
it
heart.
kind of brings up the point of like free will and prophecy and how much you believe in it, right? People would do that now if you had a magic crystal ball, deer shaped, that could tell you that this 77-year-old guy is the president for you, and he will take you into a land of peace.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though, too, is like getting back to Voldemort not needing a deer to choose him to be the leader of the Wizarding World is after this whole debacle with Grindelwald, I feel like the Wizarding World was like, maybe we should try a different method of selecting our leader.
Yeah.
And I know that in Harry Potter it's confined to England kind of.
Yeah.
But and this is the International Wizarding Court or whatever the fuck it.
Right.
Like the other thing too, now that I'm talking about it, is like one of the problems is like they've now created this international wizarding governing body that no one has ever talked about before too. And so now you're kind of like, where's all this going? Like what they keep building this scaffolding while they're building the building at the same time a little bit, and it's kind of like it feels like you're like, I think the building is going to fall apart under its own weight before we even get to the
totally. At some point, someone even mentions the American Wizarding School's name, which I don't care to remember.
It's a Smithville.
Bob Smithville, a Wizarding School. Come on.
You know how JK is like super good at just naming her characters incredibly racist names about their culture. Her one for America is Bobby Smithington. Yeah.
Yeah, Ginty McGinty was taken for all of Ireland. You fucker.
Yeah.
They
Bob Guns Smithington, the American wizard.
Yeah. No, it's such a weak, no, just like thoughtless. It's like, yeah, we'll just let an animal decide, and then, if you kill that animal, anybody can be president, bro.
It's a device, right? So there's like you mentioned the word MacGuffin, and I'll nitpick you a little that it's not really a MacGuffin, because a MacGuffin ultimately doesn't have power on the plot, kind of. It's just a tertiary.
Ooh.
Like the classic MacGuffin in modern parlance is the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It ultimately doesn't matter what's in the briefcase, you know? Whereas this does have power on the plot. But I would say, so I would upgrade it to a clear plot device, which I think is actually worse, because if you will, like the MacGuffin in Pulp Fiction makes that briefcase actually interesting, because you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool that you thought this was about a briefcase, and now it's about Samuel L. Jackson trying to shoot a man in the face in a diner. Right, you know what I mean?
The whole time.
Whereas this one is like no, this device literally is what the plot hinges upon.
The narrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, and we've talked multiple times about how J.K. Rowling has a tendency to just kind of be like, well, luckily the Wizarding World has a thing that solves this exact problem. And you're like, wow, that's so convenient. The wizards really thought of everything, didn't they?
And every
like,
time,
yeah, except for mail delivery and math and chemistry and science. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever anything goes wrong, you can just like
Democracy.
zippy-zoo back into time and fix it. Oh, this thing broke. Oh, I can just, by power of magic invested in me, zoop, fix everything. So there is no real stakes.
That like the time turner thing is one of the ones where you're just kind of like, I can't believe someone had the tool to do this all along. And
or hey, did you just destroy the entire city of New York? But don't worry about it.
We'll just
clean it the fuck up.
That's the end of Fantastic Beasts ones. I haven't read Prisoner of Azkaban nor seen the film in a long time, but like I think they destroy the time turner at the end.
I don't remember.
They actually do use that as a plot device to fix what happened.
Yes.
Like, that is how the ending of Prisoner of Azkaban wraps up, literally, which I find very
They also make a case for it that Dumbledore had that idea the whole time, kind of.
What?
Because he's able to see glimpses or know, because he's such an all-knowing power, he must have known to give that turner to Hermione and not anybody else, not even trust himself with it to do it.
There's a couple moments in the books where Dumbledore is just like, I was at the right place at the right time, and I just thought you'd use it. They're like, I mean, the Philosopher's Stone is kind of premised on that too, where it's just like, I just trusted that you would get the stone out of the mirror and not use it for evil, because Harry Potter is such a good little fucking 12-year-old.
I'm just gonna give this 12-year-old girl this magic time turner. She can take like 7 classes instead of 3.
Yeah.
And also, hey, don't kill everybody.
I think what we're realizing is that this universe is absolutely fucking bananas insane.
It's a good thing it's all magical and everything can be fixed.
I will return though to what I said in our original Fantastic Beasts episode. This is what I love about Harry Potter. Is like I can talk at length about all of the weird inconsistencies and stuff, and I think that's almost what generates a certain subset of the fandom of Harry Potter is that you can argue forever about Harry Potter, which is really fun because it's so silly. Like, and I'm not even that big of a fan. Like, I just think it's goofy.
But the fun is in suspending your belief, right? The fun is in accepting what, like, because it's magical and not real and you're not constrained by any bullshit.
I think that if everything was like fucking just like tightly plotted and locked down, which is funny because J.K. Rowling often certain parts of the plot are really tightly plotted and interesting. But if they were all like locked down and she was that brilliant, which I don't think any writer truly is, like no writer doesn't have blind spots, right? Except for Steve Kloves, the writer of the Harry Potter films. You rule, man. I know you're a listener. But if it was, I don't think I would be as big of a fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which
like
is
even our boy George R. R. Martin thinks 6 books ahead, which of course he's been doing for about 40 years now.
Yeah.
So I'd venture to say that maybe J.K. Rowling had the whole thing planned it in her head and then released it in parts.
But George R. R. Martin also has an incredible blind spot in his writing too, though. He makes like really terrible characters and writes awful dialogue. Like, he's not perfect, you know. Like the thing that's so admirable about him is like the twists and turns of his plotting and the scheming and the stories and things like that. But then again, the Game of Thrones universe doesn't
you can't have any favorites.
Bend the entire laws of the universe the way Harry Potter does.
No,
you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
The only way it bends it is death.
One of the complaints I had before I had ever read The Watchmen, one of the complaints I had watching like the Zack Snyder Watchmen is the Zack Snyder version doesn't explain why Dr. Manhattan doesn't just use his like he can see everything at all times and can do anything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sufficiently explain why he doesn't just do what needs to be done. The book does the graphic novel does like a much better job of explaining why that he can't just like prevent all bad things from happening. Yeah. So, and I'm not going to explain it because I don't really quite remember the details. So why don't you read a book?
Why don't you just apparate into Mars, bro?
Yeah. Why don't you just apparate onto the couch and read a goddamn book for once in your life? You useless person.
God damn it.
Not you. I'm talking about every listener who's ever listened to this. Yeah. I'm talking to them. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
It's all good.
Get
a
off
book.
of your video games and Harry Potters
and
read a book.
Oh, amazing. Yet again, we have a Mr. Newt Scamander played by Eddie Redmayne making another appearance.
Yeah, possibly his most passive appearance yet.
Imagine hiring.
There's so many shots where Eddie Redmayne is clearly being like, why am I still here?
Little bit. Because he's still trying to do his best Stephen Hawking. And one of the more memorable parts of this movie is him doing a little crab dance, outside of which I don't really remember him much.
To save his brother.
Eddie Redmayne's whole jam is to like, I'm a magic zoologist who can take down your ex-boyfriend, Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's so weird that like I think I might be repeating myself, but it's weird to think that the film is based on the Fantastic Beasts book, which is the title of a textbook in the Harry Potter universe written by Newt Scamander. And yet the film just continuously begs the question as to why it's based on that. Like, why do we care?
Why do we care?
I can't remember a single beast in this one, in Secrets of Dumbledore.
My God. Outside of the first scene. Okay, so this is how it opens. The first scene is...
That's so ridiculous to say. The Qilin is obviously the beast, I would argue. But like other than that, which I don't think of that as like a beast.
It's a complete
plot device.
Totally.
Yeah.
When the movie opens, there's this incredible scene of Newt Scamander going through this rainforest jungle to find that magical beast, aka Qilin, Mama Qilin. And it makes me wonder, why don't they do just a series about him finding these beasts? Like, the first one kind of was, oh no, the beast got out of the suitcase and shenanigans. Hey, do
New York style. Yeah.
Do that, but make that the series of films. Find different ones every time and do a thing.
can I also point out that's a very good point. And so if Grindelwald's whole fucking thing is to find this beast, who better than Newt Scamander?
Yeah.
Why isn't the entire series an Indiana Jones style escapade where Grindelwald is trying to use Newt Scamander to find this beast to win an election? It pains me to say.
He's like, I'm going to go after Ezra Miller and Credence is going to be my guy.
They obviously didn't think of this shit until fucking now, right? And it's kind of like, why? Like,
why don't you Imperial curse Newt Scamander and have him go get you all the beasts?
Yeah. And another problem with the whole election part of it, in the last movie, everyone was like, Grindelwald is a fucking hardcore criminal. And then in this movie, they're like, I don't know, if we clear him at the International Court of Wizards, which either he's innocent or we cut his fucking hands off and kill him and hang him over London Bridge, which is the only wizarding way they do anything.
Stupid.
Or it's like either he's like a fascist authoritarian criminal or he can stand the election.
Hashtag not my Grindelwald.
It's like, come on, you know?
What are they trying to do?
Yeah, which should be familiar to the people who live in the world. Like we talked about Donald Trump last time. Like he's in court for 1,000 counts of every fucking thing you can imagine, and he's still like, I'm winning the election by a large margin. On Truth Social.
Jesus Christ, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
And to be fair, at that point, you kind of wish a chillin' was fucking out there, but then it would choose like a little baby and we'd be like, oh, now the baby is the boss of the world.
Oh my
Fuck.
God.
So let's talk about the plot. Boss.
The plot
boss
really
baby.
is like just a touch point of what's different than the previous movie is that we're still trying to thwart Grindelwald's plans of raising pureblood wizards.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean the Ministry and Dumbledore.
I consider myself part of the Ministry. I don't know about you.
Okay,
but
fair.
Now that
Good.
I've professed my fandom, I kind of
To young law.
I consider myself a wizard.
Yeah. So
if I was in the wizarding world, I would be an Auror.
So you Auror, and you
And my
Albus,
colleagues
and your colleague Dumbledore enlist Mr. Newt Scamander to do his best fucking Stephen Hawking impression yet again.
He's in it. Well, they open with Dumbledore and Grindelwald meeting at a tea shop, talking about their torrid love affair when they were younger men, which is fantastic. And we haven't yet mentioned that Mads Mikkelsen is now Grindelwald.
Oh, that's right.
He looks a little different than the old Grindelwald.
Magical Lecter, baby.
But I mean, Mads. I had no honest complaints about Johnny Depp in the last one, but Mads Mikkelsen is truly better in this.
Mads
He's
Mikkelsen
quite
has
good.
such great chemistry with everybody he's on screen with. Even a terrible, terrible actress who shall not be named is still redeemed just because of his presence on screen.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
so
he's good. He's a good villain.
Great choice. Just not. I don't know if he ever really was in love with Dumbledore, which is nice to see.
I just think that
He's so cold. And
paths diverged.
Yeah.
Strongly.
There's like nothing in his heart. His eyes are black.
Yeah.
It's really
he
cool
wants
to see.
destroy muggles. Dumbledore kind of likes muggles because Dumbledore's a good guy.
Because Dumbledore's like, they make good tea, mate.
No, the tea is bloody fantastic.
The tea is dripping hot.
And I'll do my Mads Mikkelsen. I do a really good Danish accent. It's
Yeah.
like, this tea sucks, mate. Yeah, that's my Danish accent.
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of Mads, if anyone out there has never seen the film Another Round, it is phenomenal.
Excellent.
Very, very good.
Excellent film.
Very good movie. It was nominated for an Academy Award. That should tell you all you need.
Oh.
And then in China, Newt going to find this Chillin, and then he's they do follow him there. Credence follows him to find this Chillin, and they kill the mother Chillin.
Aww.
But they grab one Chillin, and Newt grabs the other.
Turns out the mother had twins.
And Credence only thought there was one.
Yeah.
So there's two Chillins just chilling off in the world.
Chillins.
So Albus Dumbledore, as we've established, he recruits Newt, Theseus. What's Jessica Williams' name?
Lally with a mid-Atlantic British accent. Who the fuck knows is doing the most.
Really like Jessica Williams. I don't like her in this.
Jessica Williams, you're great. You're funny. In this,
fantastic
what the fuck's
actress.
going on?
You know what? I wish she worked more. Maybe I just haven't seen the stuff she's in, but I quite like her.
No, she's really fun.
Always
She's great.
really liked
She's
her.
great in the other movie with the other guy, but in this one, not so much.
The other movie with the other guy?
The guy.
Booksmart, yeah.
The guy who's in Bridesmaids as the cop.
Melissa McCarthy.
God damn it, the guy. It's all good.
Oh, the Irish.
Yeah, English guy.
Ginty McGinty.
Ginty McGinty
Yeah.
from IT Crowd.
yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's.
We don't know names of people. We
we
like
don't.
movies, but we try not to remember names because
It's egalitarian of me to be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy in the thing.
Chris something.
Chris
Fuck it.
O'Dowd.
Chris O'Dowd.
Thank you. Yes. Oh yeah, man. Jessica Williams, hard to listen to, but cool. She has cool powers.
She's part of some of the more interesting scenes in the film.
Yeah.
And I actually think I'm not normally a person who's I tried to hold off from being like, why is Zoe Kravitz fucking English in the last one? But that is what I felt when I first saw her, because I like Zoe Kravitz too. But I was like, why is she English? Like, I don't.
For all this pure Brit shit,
but there's so many performers in these movies who cross over when it's kind of like, well, you're British, just be British. If you're American, just be American.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Williams is one of those because her performance is good, but her mid-Atlantic accent thing is distracting, and I just wish she had dropped it and talked kind of normal.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, she's just good in this, and she does fit in. She dresses great. The costume in this movie is specifically quite good.
Exactly.
And then she's just part of interesting scenes, and she's an interesting character.
Yeah.
She's the
It's
charms,
the classic-
charms teacher at...
It's got all the classic colors of a Yates film.
Yeah.
Which wasn't quite the case in the last two ones, but this one's got all the grays and blues.
I will say, for anyone doubtful, this movie has possibly the best scene in the entire 3 films.
Yeah.
In this set piece that's just gonna come up that we'll talk about.
All
it's
right.
just fantastic. I should have rewatched it on YouTube.
The real
'cause it's
Fantastic
really good.
Beast is that one scene.
Yeah. So the whole gang gets back together to thwart Grindelwald, and I don't really remember the plot very well. Sorry.
Get back into the Wikipedia.
So
Jeez.
I see it, but it's overly complicated on the Wikipedia. That's what I'm having trouble with.
Okay.
It's so much shorter in the previous one. Grindelwald is trying to run for the international wizarding head,
yes.
and then they clear him of his crimes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the guy who clears him of his crime also maddeningly looks like Mads Mikkelsen
Yeah, the guy from Dark.
in Dark, which is a phenomenal show. But it's going to be a little confusing seeing two Mikkelsens in there in this thing.
He's cleared of wrongdoing. He can stand the election, and then his buddies, his gang of ne'er-do-wells, Grindelwalds, they want to murder Santos, the Brazilian lady.
Right.
Oh, and also Credence brought him the one Chillin, and that one Chillin helps him see the future.
Let's
some
start
regard.
there.
Yeah,
because that is the first scene. The first scene is when Credence finds the Chillin on Grindelwald's kind request, brings it back to him, which Grindelwald harshly kills. He slits the little
Hella
baby
murders
deer's
the deer.
throat.
Yeah.
And then in the blood, he's able to see that, there's some future events about to unfold.
And he also sees it in a pool and in a window and stuff.
Well, later on. So at this time, he has a fair idea of what's about to unfold, what Dumbledore is going to do, what the Ministry is going to do. So Dumbledore, in order to plan for a counterattack, gets the gang back together.
They have to do a silly thing.
They have to plan to get the other Chillin safely to the final voting place.
But the way they have to do it is they all have to act out 5 separate plans that
Correct.
no one else can know.
It has to be a lack of plans, which is the only plan.
It's like one of the most overly complex things.
It's a heist, kind of.
But it turns out to kind of be an anti-heist.
Yes.
Because Grindelwald can read the future, they have to confuse him as to what their entire... So they have to go in 5 different branches,
That's exactly
all involving a suitcase.
Well, so that the big suitcase that holds the Chillin doesn't get scooped up by the bad
That's later.
guys.
But in the meantime, the assassination of the Brazilian woman Santos fails, who's also going to stand for the election. And then there's a Chinese ambassador who's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob Kowalski is accused of trying to assassinate.
He's
I'm really sorry. This movie is utterly confounding.
Either way, Jacob Kowalski, the
he's,
Muggle,
he's framed for trying to murder Grindelwald
Yeah.
at this event after Grindelwald's been cleared of. Everyone's like, he's innocent. He's a fascist, but he's innocent. He hasn't done anything wrong yet. Turns out the crimes of Grindelwald have been erased. Okay?
Yes.
Fuck me. Sorry.
Go on. Meanwhile, what Dumbledore is doing is
Meanwhile, back at Aberforth's.
you can see kind of the mirror that comes up in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, where Harry communicates with Aberforth, Dumbledore's brother, through a mirror.
Oh god, I had forgotten that completely.
That's the kind of big lead
Credence
up
is
to.
talking to Aberforth through this mirror as
Right.
well. And Credence finds out that he's Aberforth's illegitimate son.
Correct.
It's Dumbledore's nephew.
Before he finds that out, though, they have a fantastic fight scene. Between
He
Dumbledore-
confronts Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And they fight in the streets of London. And that is the scene I'm talking about, which is fantastic.
So good.
And it ends with that shot where it flips perspective from under the street to the top is like, this is fucking great filmmaking.
So cool. It's very Matrixy, where they do it in a parallel universe that is under the real world, in a water world almost.
It's also like the perfect kind of like it has such echoes of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
In that it's the perfect Dumbledore thing where he's being confronted by a young man who's incredibly like angry, and he kind of like deals with it in the most caring way you can by also like stupefying the shit out of the kid. But like
because Dumbledore
is not a violent man.
He
right?
always sought to protect,
Yeah.
right? Every spell he casts is to make sure that he stays protected by not killing the other person.
Yeah.
And in that, when finally he kind of holds down Credence, Ezra Miller's character, he's like, you know what? Don't fucking listen to Mads Mikkelsen. Don't listen to Grindelwald, because he's trying to mislead you into thinking you're one of our brothers, but actually, you're my brother's son. You are Aberforth's kid, and you are a Dumbledore, and you will always be a Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And just having that kind of sense of welcome, even in words alone, puts Credence at ease.
He's never had family that like the thing is like Credence's whole story is that he's only ever had family that like abused him or used him. And he kind of realizes that like there's a possibility of having family that cares for him.
Yeah.
Right? Which is and like having Dumbledore involved in that, even though Aberforth is kind of a jerk, but like it's good, and that fight scene is worth the price of admission. I would say it's very good.
There's the fight choreography in any scene, whether it includes Lally, whether it includes the Ministry,
the papers flying over the table.
Oh my god, her whole thing is like
very good,
being able to control paper and books and apparating through them, so that the book is the portkey.
Did not realize that.
Don't know, because she zoops with the papers every time you kind of hold. Her suitcase is full of books. She always whips out a little book.
Maybe she would like to read a fucking book, unlike our goddamn listeners who just fucking are sitting scrolling through fucking TikTok all day. Maybe they should try reading for once.
Quite love it.
But there's also a scene where she rescues Jacob Kowalski, and she makes this like bridge over this table with all this paper. It's a very good scene. I like that stuff too. Yeah.
At this point, they Newt and Theseus and now the whole gang is using a portkey to transport to Hogwarts.
Yeah, right. And what do they do? Oh, right. And then they meet Bunty, who's hopelessly in love with Newt, and Newt's like, sorry, I'm asexual.
Sorry, my assistant, but I already got the hots for one order.
It's like, I'm not Harvey Weinstein. I don't take advantage of my assistants.
Not in this economy.
Bunty,
no.
You're doing a good job.
So this is where
keep it professional.
This is where the whole gang kind of gets together, and they're standing in front of this giant portkey that's shaped like a spinning wheel, Bhutanese style.
Yeah.
And they each have one suitcase that resembles Newt's suitcase in front of them.
Bunty previously had made replica suitcases.
Replica suitcases. And Jacob calls it a 3-card Monty, which Dumbledore's like, my word. What a fancy muggle term for a little switcheroo.
You muggles have tea and scams for street urchins to play.
That fucking reminds me, like, it's so hard to sometimes take this movie seriously.
Really?
Because they throw a term around like supreme mugwump.
Yeah.
Very casually. At that point, I was like, all right, I guess as long as we got that kinky little blood bond necklace, I'm still in.
They break the blood curse too.
much later. Hold
Okay,
on.
sorry. So there is right. Yeah, that's close to the end.
Listen.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Kill it.
Looks
Kill
like
it.
John wasn't paying attention
Jesus.
in fucking Muggle class.
So,
there are
at this
no.
point-
I have something to say about that. Like there are moments in the Harry Potter books where like Hermione, one of her parents is a Muggle, or both of her parents are Muggles,
Yes.
right? And like there are times in the book where like Ron is like, "What's a phone?" And Hermione is like, "Where the fuck are you from?" Like there are times when wizards are so fucking ignorant about the
Disconnected.
Muggle world that
Yeah.
Hermione's got to be there to be like, "What the fuck is wrong?" But she's totally right, because it's like, well, you've never like fucking gone out on a normal street in your life. I guess it's
No.
the Weasleys live in a corrugated iron shack in the
And
middle
of
of
course,
a field. so-
only their father kind of dips in and out into the ministry and the human world and the Muggle world because he's
Well,
fascinated
he's obsessed
by it.
with it. Yeah.
But it's like a age thing too. You think boomers give a shit about what a fucking TikTok is? No. And we're all in the same world.
Boomers are the wizards of
Yes,
real life.
they are decrepit.
Basically. Yeah.
Yes, they
The older you get, the better you are at spell casting.
No. Some are good. Some boomers are allies.
To all our boomer fans out there,
Love you guys.
keep being magical. Am I right,
you know what?
ladies?
Don't go on TikTok. Just don't go on
Yeah,
there.
don't use TikTok either.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Unless you post those ones that have gone around recently about people getting divorced. Those are really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are hilarious.
That's great.
Anyway,
So the wizarding world leaders are gathering in Bhutan,
yeah.
right?
Which is where you always go to.
That's where the
yeah.
big vote happens. That's where everybody gathers to decide whether it's going to be Santos or Lu or Grindelwald.
Do you have any insight as to why Bhutan was a choice?
I think it's just cool as fuck TM.
Is that the place that constantly gets brought up as the happiest place in the world?
Yes, it is.
I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Maybe. It's
I don't
also
know.
very cool. It's very Doctor Strangey. I like
Yeah.
that.
You're from that area of the woods. What's it like?
I'm around those parts.
You know everybody there, right?
A couple of hundred for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, they're coming to the wedding. Yeah.
We go way back. Don't worry about it.
Me and fucking the Bhutanese, we're big.
That's why we all be chilling. Why
Yeah.
be chilling?
One of I kind of hesitate again, like pulling the curtain back on our very very intricate production.
Oh boy.
We're actually like huge in Bhutan, so that's why we did these films.
That's right.
Because we knew that the kicker would be like, finally Bhutan has representation.
Oh, yeah.
Other than stupid bloggers for Forbes being like, the happiest place on earth actually only has one road. It's like, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I think it's Bhutan. Is there another Burma? No, that's
No, that can't be.
old timey word for Malaysia.
no, Myanmar.
Myanmar. Excuse me. I don't know anything.
You know what?
I think it's Bhutan, where like the capital.
Yes.
This has become the Bhutan cast. I think it's Bhutan, where the capital is like has all of this like space and infrastructure fit for like 8 million people, but only like 1 million people live there. So they have
Oh.
these big, huge like mega projects of like giant mega highways with 4 cars on them and shit.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Once we get remote jobs, get what we're going to do.
Go to Bhutan?
Live.
Why?
Because we be chilling. For now.
Well, speaking of which, they're chilling in Bhutan right now. In this
So,
film.
the big walk of the Chillin ritual, in which the Chillin selects the worthy new supreme leader, is about to happen. Right?
Boo.
At this point,
Democracy rule.
we learned that our boy Grindelwald has bewitched the Chillin because he slit its throat and he keeps bringing it back to life and be like, you know what? You better bow
Yeah.
to me, bitch.
That scene we mentioned earlier where he kills the fuck out of it while he keeps bringing it back to life.
It was so rough.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a cool concept to introduce something so cute and so adorable
And
with such
murder it.
great powers to be inflicting harm upon it in such a cruel way
Yeah.
is very Voldemort-y.
Yeah. No wonder you're not pure of heart, you fucking asshole.
I think it's because like it's look at the little cutie.
It is cool
little
within the
cute dude.
universe if you're willing to accept the fucking ridiculous nature of the whole thing. And this was the part where I went a little mental talking about it to you the other night, because they're like, oh, the deer has chosen the wizard king.
Yes.
And then they're like, wait, that deer is dead.
Yeah.
It's been bewitched. And everyone's like, oh my God. Oh, okay. And then he's like, I have another deer.
Yeah.
Bring the other democracy deer. And they like, and then they fucking drop the deer in front of everyone, and the deer is like, well, obviously I'm gonna choose Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's like, bro, I don't want to rule, I like teaching.
Yeah,
and then,
I got tenure.
And then turns out the deer chooses Santos, the other politician. I dispute the idea that any politician is pure of heart.
Of course.
Not because I'm like this like anti-establishment fucking crazy person.
Little punk.
You kind of want politicians to not be pure of heart.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's more the intention. And you realize that Santos has ultimately good intentions towards the people, because at one point when Grindelwald hits Jacob the Muggle with the little Crucio, and he's like, oh, you fucking, all your mudblood bullshit, and then Santos kind of reverses it quietly.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to see him suffer.
Yeah.
So I think in that one action, which is kind of at parallel with Dumbledore's,
yeah, she's a good person.
the only
I'm
other
not
person it
disputing
bows
that.
down to is
But
Santos.
like, I love how Jacob Kowalski gets like inflicted with the worst pain imaginable, and everyone's like, "You all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, that hurt." And they're like, "Fucking suck it up, bro."
Oh my God,
Jesus.
like, relax.
It's like,
You've been to war.
he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
well, come on,
Come
He's
on.
like- He's like, "Oh yeah, just writhing around in pain, nobody really doing anything."
You've
He's like,
seen better.
Well, you're a Muggle. Come on, we've all done it. So it's such a silly thing. And then this is honestly where I'm just kind of like, does anyone have a better idea of how to choose a leader? Like, come on.
Hey, yeah.
Seriously.
No.
We went through all this sturm and drang with the fucking voting machines in the last American election. So, you know.
Missing ballots.
Yeah. And
what then?
You know what?
Then?
You know
what
what?
about when the ballots go Wingardium Leviosa? What are you going to do then?
Well, guess what? Fucking that company that got Fox News to pay them $800 million for
Yeah.
their libel about the ballots and shit.
Yeah.
Guess what? That company, fucking whatever they're called, they were not fallible. The voting machines fucking worked, and there was a fair election. And yet this deer, they hijacked the deer.
Yeah, because it's organic matter. God.
Well, I'm just saying it's a fallible problem. That's all I'm saying, and they should think of a better one. Wizards, get at me, bro.
Little baby deer.
Fuck you, deer.
Such a cutie.
Little scaly ass
I don't know.
bitch.
I'd be down to let a little baby deer dictate the future of our democracy as it stands, because it's not in a good place right now.
I would rather the deer just like it like limped over and was like looked in a mirror and was like,
I bow to you, Mr. Deer.
and then the deer became our prime minister. That would be fucking sick.
What a freaking cutie.
Yeah.
Tourism, 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
President of Canada. Little baby deer.
I would really love to see Pierre Poilievre standing up in the House of Commons being like, this giant tiny baby deer has only sown disruption and authoritarianism by raising a carbon tax.
It's got a little weed in its mouth over there chilling. It is.
I don't believe the deer's government is fit to serve the people of Canada, but
Perfect.
me with my turtleneck and no tie is.
I have half a neck and I make
if there's
it work.
any international listeners, which I doubt, our politics are stupid.
Do not forget about our Bhutanese.
Yeah. The fact I'm not even joking about, I would rather have a deer than any of the leaders of our parties
At this
right
point,
now.
we'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it if it's on offer. I take it.
I want to correct a mistake I made. I want to take something back, something that I said in the previous movie episode, where I was like, Fantastic Beast, it's for kids. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know what? Kids love elections and protests and bureaucracy and sins of the past and wrongdoing, yearning for a simpler time and
Yeah, and also
weird
there's
little deer creatures.
there's an explicit sex scene between Queenie and Jacob Kowalski at the end of this movie.
No, there's
Yeah,
not.
they have
Stop
sex
it.
on the
Jesus
Bhutan
Christ.
ramparts.
Stop it. Jesus.
And they're like, "What?
No.
It's the happiest place on earth."
Let him have it.
So great.
Can't fucking get enough of it.
movie, man.
Bamboo.
The thing is, this movie is not. It's good. I like this movie.
I do.
think it's
I
good,
like
yeah.
it the most of all three, which is
Yeah.
maddening because it has such a silly goose
And you know what?
put togetherness.
Between the 3 hours since we talked about Crimes of Grindelwald and this film earlier today,
Yeah.
my affection for Crimes of Grindelwald has frankly grown. I think it's a good movie too.
Hindsight
Okay,
is a beautiful thing.
there's still some plot left.
Yes.
Grindelwald obviously is like, I can't believe you caught my deer hoax, and he gets pissed off and he leaves, and he
They fight.
they fight, and that's when Dumbledore breaks the blood curse and he's able to protect
Himself.
Santa. So no, he's protecting Credence, I believe.
Well, essentially, when Grindelwald or Dumbledore attack each other, like they might die because of the little blood oath that they took. But because Dumbledore only seeks to protect and not aim to kill, the crystal ball breaks.
Grindelwald, in his rage, attacks Credence. And Aberforth and Dumbledore both simultaneously protect Credence. And in the act of protecting Credence, Dumbledore breaks the blood oath. He voids it, I guess, is the yeah.
Either way, the blood bond and the kinky necklace is gone, and now it's just.
And then Grindelwald listens to John and disapparates like a fucking smart person.
It took him 3 films to be.
He
like,
apparates over the border to
out.
Myanmar.
Incredible.
It's like, this place isn't happy at all. Essentially, Credence goes home with Aberforth.
Yeah.
And everyone goes back to New York for a little wedding between
Queenie and Jacob.
Queenie's story absolutely does not figure into this whatsoever very much at all.
Bad shit.
But anyway, this ends in a marriage. Tina has a little cameo, and very insulting cameo on Catherine Waterston's part. I wish she was actually in this movie.
I'm all right.
I know you're all right, but that's absolutely insane.
Like, for once, we have fewer names to remember.
That's
I
more
think it's
insane.
Okay.
It's more insane than a deer choosing a leader. And I've said it before.
You think it should be better if Tina gets to choose the next fucking president of the world?
Catherine, you're pure of heart.
Okay. It's true. You know what's more shocking is that the deer didn't choose Newt?
That's kind of what I thought was going to happen, actually.
And it went to Dumbledore instead?
Yeah, that would be a very Harry Potter thing to do. Like, Harry gets a lot of that preferential treatment where you're just kind of like, I don't know, he's kind of a dick.
But Harry's also, has flaws, and he's not perfect, and he relies on his friends. But Newt is such a good wizard who's like
every once in a while, though, in Harry Potter, like Richard Harris is like, Harry, you're the greatest, purest little boy I've ever met. You're so wonderful. And you're just like, I don't know, he's kind of an asshole a lot.
He's a little baby.
Yeah.
He's a little shitty baby.
And then he's like, 6 million points to Gryffindor. You're the greatest. If there was a deer here, it would bow for you.
Yeah.
I'm Richard Harris.
Perfect.
And then Newt talks to Dumbledore right at the end there. And then we Finn.
Finn.
And that's the end of Fantastic Beasts, because Warner Bros. Discovery is like,
so
no thank
so
you.
far, all of these movies are just filler fucking movies leading up to somehow 2 more movies that may or may not happen.
There have been many trilogies in our lifetime. And almost universally, the second film has suffered the most.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to write a good middle film, even of a trilogy you're planning.
Correct.
You know? If I, like, Age of Ultron, I know you're a fan, but that suffered from being in the middle of a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue, despite how fucking incredible it is, The Two Towers suffers from that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks Return of the King is the best movie. Two Towers... rewatch that shit. Two Towers rips. Two Towers is probably besides Empire Strikes Back the best middle film in the trilogy. But it's the exception. Those are exceptions to the rule. Most of the middle films usually suffer. However, I just can't conceive of the idea of making 5 movies where you have 3 films in the middle that don't
all
suffer
shit.
from that. Like, how can you sustain the story? Because once we get to the 4th film, and I may have mentioned how silly this movie is. When you get to the 4th film with Grindelwald, it's kind of like, what kind of zany caper is he going to get up to next? Like, what's next?
Yeah.
What can he do next? He can't gather an authoritarian fascist dictatorship. He can't get elected. What's the plan, Grindelwald?
Maybe he goes more Voldemort-y.
I assume so, but you don't need a 4th and a 5th film together.
No. But when you have $500 million budget and you just want to put it into nonsensical, blandtastic pieces of shit.
But they don't, though, because
they're gonna do it.
Yeah, no, but Warner Bros. Isn't gonna do it. They've said that they have. No
it's a hard no, hey.
I don't know. I don't think anything's a hard no these days. Like, anything can be revitalized, as we always.
Everybody
like,
leans into nostalgia hard.
Well, no, but like, you never know when things will pop back up and people will be like, maybe this was a good idea. It's the cycle of pop culture. It happens, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that like JK has written a draft of a 4th film or a 5th film or whatever. I just don't. I don't know.
For sanity,
I don't think that
doesn't.
there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see much of a future with these, unfortunately. Which sucks because it doesn't conclude very satisfactorily.
No.
It concludes satisfactorily enough that if they never did another movie, I'd be like, that's fine. They get married. There's a nice wedding at the end. Dumbledore walks off to go be the
Grindelwald's
headmaster.
off in the air somewhere.
Grindelwald is he's still falling from that place in Bhutan.
Yeah.
He's broken at the bottom of that
The happiest place
cliff.
in the
Yeah.
world.
He just lives there now.
Yeah.
He's just like, I really actually kind of have a taste for it.
I
really
could get
like,
into this pilgrimage stuff,
really
bro.
like Bhutan.
Yeah.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by Tourism Bhutan. Fly the one flight you can get to there.
Tasty cabbage dumplings.
Yeah, I
Go
bet.
get one today.
Yeah. Do you have any parting thoughts about the Fantastic Beasts?
No,
trilogy?
I want it to be more than over, but
I can't
I
believe.
kind of want to see if I will definitely watch the 4th and the 5th. I know it.
Not in theaters, but yeah. I can't believe I mean, and maybe some of the listeners are thinking this about now, but I can't believe we could talk for 3 hours about these, honestly.
It's a testament to my state of constant chillin'.
I think it's a testament to our commitment to art.
To chillin'?
Art.
Yeah,
I
also
think
that.
art.
And
Yeah.
art.
And,
yeah.
And democracy of the deer.
Dear democracy.
Deermocracy. Vote deer in the next election.
Yeah. Perfect.
Scaly deer party.
Jesus Christ. Let it out.
The deer is is fomenting dissent
No!
and dividing our country.
It's too cute. Stop it. It
And the
doesn't
deer-
mean it.
The
It
deer
doesn't
just
mean
cut
it.
to the deer being like, the house speaker being like,
Little big doe eyes.
Mr. Deer, do you have anything to report to that? It's like, our deer does not need to respond to these accusations.
Democracy stands. Perfect.
The deer's silence makes it complicit.
Let it end. My God, let it end. It's pain.
I'm working on my Pure Polyev for Canadian SNL.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
FNL, Friday night.
Send in your package.
Friday Night Live. All right. Everyone wants me to shut the fuck up, so I will. Thank you for listening. It's been The Low Ceiling. I've been John.
And I'm free.
Fantastic Beasts is over. We'll never talk about them again. Thank God. Give them a chance. They're really not that bad, but have an open mind.
Yeah.
Or don't, because they could also be the worst thing you
You
ever
could
watched.
just skip the first 2 and watch the 3rd and still have a good old time.
I wouldn't recommend it because they're so overly complicated that you would have no idea what was happening.
Fair.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.